This is the Highland Street tunnels in DuBois, Pennsylvania. And there is a portion of property as you're coming down to it that says private property, and you can avoid it by just cutting down over the bank. So you can visit it without technically breaking the law or violating anyone. So I lived in DuBois area for all my life and I've never visited this, so that's not true. I might have actually visited it with my grandfather years and years ago. He used to take me all kinds of places like this, but I was probably too young to remember. And when I get home, I'll look up some details on it and I'll tell you maybe a short history on it, which probably is going to be real short because I can't imagine there's much excitement around this tunnel. Usually we have a date up there, but we don't have one on this tunnel, so. Well, let's check it out. The structure is actually really, really good, even compared with some of the usable tunnels that are in this area. Let me check it out. Welcome to Highland Street Railroad Tunnel in DuBois, Pennsylvania, also known as Cottage Hill Tunnel back in the day. This railroad was the B&S Railroad. No joke. It was originally set up as a lumber railroad for the Buffalo and Susquehanna Railroad for Goodyear lumber operations. The tunnel was built in 1903, and that falls in line with several other tunnels and industrial structures that were shooting up in the DuBois area around the same time. Of course, they're all for lumber and coal primarily. People did not use the railroad for transportation. They had a streetcar system that went to all the neighboring towns and basically was powered by the power plant down in Helvetia, which isn't too far away. That streetcar system stayed popular until about the time of the automobile. Hey, we have a date. 1903. That coincides with a lot of close dates in the area for our various tunnels. I traveled along to this location, leaving the pups behind because it was so cold and windy that day. The tunnel is still listed as railroad property at last check, but the land surrounding and leading up to it is mostly private property. You can still access it by using some skill and clambering down and up a steep hillside, and I recommend extreme caution if you choose to visit. I found this to be pretty remarkable structural shape. Not bad at all. I've traveled in tunnels that are being presently used that look less secure. So this is interesting because it has a slight curve and it gives it a unique look when you're peering through it. There's lots of colorful graffiti, and I mean colorful with colors and language. The Highland Street Tunnel is approximately 400 foot long. It's one of 3 tunnels located in the immediate DuBois area. Ownership changed from BS to B&O and eventually to BPR. So it was the Baltimore and Susquehanna, then it went to the Baltimore and Ohio, and eventually to the Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Rochester. This tunnel was another business venture that went from great ideas to hitting the Great Depression and losing popularity to other more efficient routes to major cities. And of course, changing the location of industry, lumber areas, and coal areas also. In 1942, sections of the track were washed out by a storm and the rail was completely abandoned. Anything else interesting about this location? Sure. I've heard some tales that can be found on history forums and also on some Facebook city groups. It's a great fossil finding site in the shell to each side of the railroad. The location was one of a hobo camp, and I just recently did a video on hobo symbols and signs. And I can say that when I looked inside, I saw no symbols on my visit. But that doesn't mean that hobos didn't camp in the region. These tunnels were prime spots. There's a scary walled-up door, which appears to be nothing more than a walled-up step-in safety area that used to be there. There's no room exists inside or behind the wall. There's bunches of tales of hauntings, kids gone missing and found dead. These are all just tells on various forums, but in the end, they're just that, tells. There's no actual substance to the stories. And that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to continue to visit the various tunnels and eventually throw together a compilation of all of them. But for now, Timber Adventures thanks you for watching, and please, if you like our videos, like, subscribe, share, and comment.